The Con. It began decades before 2008. The Con. It began long before Professor William Black was hired by the insurance funds, FSLIC, FDIC. You see, Bill Black has a bar card in his pocket. He's a lawyer, and he had clients, the insurance funds, and it was his job to protect the insurance funds, the FDIC and the FSLIC. His job was quite similar to Cat Wolford's job, and quite similar to Catherine Austin Fitt's jobs, as she was deputy director at HUD, and she was the director, I guess, of the FHA. When these people tell their stories, and this Schwaniker, whatever his name is, they're the deputy director at FBI, he's carrying on about how valuable corporate insider whistleblowers are. Well, I got news for Mr. Schwaniker, or Schwanik, whatever his name is. It began long before he was deputy director at FBI. Folks, these real estate-based land swindles, because you see, you can't buy a house unless it's sitting on a piece of real estate. Every bit of the story entitled The Con, all is based on real estate transactions, and these crooked, slimy, against the law, illegal, outlaw real estate transactions began long before the savings and loan scandal that Bill Black harps on about. You'll have to excuse me, Bill Black, but you don't tell the whole story. You don't tell a fraction of it, Bill Black, because you know something? There were millions of consumer victims that you recovered how much money for? How much in damages did you collect for the consumer victims, Bill Black? Why don't you tell everybody that? And get off this Bill Black's the consummate expert, because I got news for you, Mr. Bill Black. The reason you got hired is right here, this guy right here. I rose ever loving hell in Houston. I got you and Cat Wolford hired. You know, the white elephant liquidator lady? Why don't you tell them about the liquidations, Bill Black, and what they had to liquidate in the wake of the collapse of the banks? You know, it's not the S&L scandal. That's a look over there. Hey, be distracted. It's the S&L scandal. No, it was never the S&L scandal, Mr. Bill Black. It was the giant bankster gangster swindles of the 60s, 70s, and 80s that ultimately caused the S&Ls to implode under their own weight of fraud, deception, and criminality. Come on, Bill Black, tell everybody about the land deals of the 19-teens and the land swindles of the 1920s and 30s. And tell everybody about the land swindles of the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. And of course, tell them the story about Burt Lance, old Jimmy Carter's pal there from the Sunshine State Bank in Georgia. Now, it appears that the most recent fiasco in 2008, there were huge numbers of banks in Georgia involved in this. Isn't this amazing? And where is Christopher Wray from again, Mr. Bill Black? Where's the director of the FBI from? Didn't he come out of the Department of Justice offices in northern Georgia? Ain't that an interesting factoid? So you'll have to pardon my obvious criticism of Bill Black not telling the whole story. He doesn't tell the story about all the land swindles. He doesn't tell the story about all the Clintonian dirt flipping and dirt dealing, the Clintonian story of how you use real estate transactions to stuff your pockets like Bill and Hillary Clinton and the McDougalls engaged in. There's tens of thousands of real estate developments like Castle Grande, Maplewood Farms, Campobello Island. Whitewater. Why don't you tell them all about Whitewater, Bill Black? And tell them about all the Whitewaters in Texas and Arizona and California and Utah. Oh, God almighty, Utah. Utah's packed full of them. And Oregon and Washington State and Idaho's full of it, and Alaska too, and California and Florida. all there down around the Mormon LDS operations in Florida. They're everywhere. And that brings me to Utah and Salt Lake counties. Man, I'll tell you what, Patrick Lovell, this is a far larger story than the cons covered so far. Way far larger. And Patrick Lovell and the whole crew associated with the con know one thing for certain. Old Judson Witham was exposing these real estate swindles on the front page of the Houston Post and the Houston Chronicle in 1987, 1988, 1990, all through the 90s. What were y'all doing in the 90s, Patrick Lovell? Were you drinking beer and chasing girls at college? Now, that would sum it up. But in any event, don't take my cynicism and my obvious, I'm angry. Christopher Wray is nothing but a lion sack of manure, like Trump and Biden and the Clintons and the Bushes, the whole pile of them. And Bill Black, you need to start telling the whole story. Quit telling a fraction of it, because that's what you're telling, Bill Black. You're telling a fraction of the story. Folks, all the links and information you need are posted below. And, you know, unless I got a time tunnel, unless I got a time machine, my pictures in the Post and the Chronicle can't be faked, right? Back in the 80s, what were y'all doing in the 1980s? That's the question here, folks. And how long had the real estate frauds and real estate schemes and real estate racketeering been going on, ultimately causing the fiasco in 2008? And how much money gets laundered through these mortgages? There's the big one for you. I'm in the 6th Circuit Court of Appeals in Ohio, exposing J.P. Morgan Chase and Deutsche Bank, Credit Suisse, Select Portfolio Services. There's one for you, Patrick Lovell, old SPS, and how they and Gerald Cugno of Tampa, Florida, isn't that an interesting little connection? New Jersey Mafia, Gerald Cugno, and laundering money through J.P. Morgan Chase and Deutsche Bank. Ain't that fascinating how they use real estate foreclosures, predatory subprime racketeering foreclosures to churn money and churn real estate and rip everybody off, right, Christopher Wray? Let's get Bill Barr, the Attorney General of the United States, to explain how do they launder all that money anyways? How does it get done exactly, Bill Black? Why don't you explain that to everybody? You're the criminologist. Why don't you explain to everybody how they launder vast amounts of money, Bill Black, through mortgages? Folks, I'll leave it right there. And everybody knows who I am. Y'all have a nice day.